right, welcome back, guys. This is the Incel Podcast. This is where fat, unattractive motherfuckers tell you that women are whores, that men are awesome, and that I don't know, we're gonna shit on women because they won't bang us or something. That's how it usually goes. Um,
Do you
no,
think you
this
want to bang me?
no, nobody does.
Yeah, it feels bad. That feels really, really bad, man. Don't ever say that to me again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, this is the podcast where we talk about Aiden Ross and Jenna Ortega being an official couple.
Who? Oh yeah. Oh that bitch.
Whoever the fuck they
I was
are.
like, who?
Yeah, the short girl who everybody waited to be 18 or something.
I
Anyway,
know. Not, yeah, that's fucking weird. It's weird. I hate when people do that shit.
you mean you hate when dudes do that shit? Because that only happens. Only the dudes do that.
Sure, there can be some females doing that shit too.
They don't though. They don't.
Whatever you say.
Anyways, this is the politics podcast called For the Republic. I'm Lewis. That's Karen Deep. Um, yeah. So
Yo, yo.
Obama is gay. Thoughts?
Huh. I want to know when did it all started. Like, who was the first person that brought this shit up and then
Him,
just like start spreading on social media?
him, his ex girlfriend.
Now, like,
Um,
all of a sudden now he's just like gay.
no, that's not. That's the thing people don't understand. This was a story in 2007. This was a legit. This was a story that was censored in 2007. This
Yeah,
is
and then
thing
now all of a
about
sudden it's like all over.
it's back again. Well, it's only back because remember, Tucker interviewed this guy, and this guy is he's
Yeah.
obviously this guy doesn't have the best track record, so it's not like he's the guy that says he's not Juanita Broderick. You know what I mean? You know who Juanita Broderick is?
No.
Oh my god, we go through this like every.
What?
You don't know the Clinton allegations about Bill Clinton raped that woman, Juanita Broderick. Remember the ladies that Trump brought to the
Oh.
debate? The main one, or one of the main ones, her name is Juanita Broderick. She in the
Hmm.
'90s when Bill Clinton first ran for president, came out with the allegations, but the media pretty much ridiculed her. Hillary ridiculed her, made her seem like she was um, this wacky woman that
Didn't
pretty
they
much.
also pay her like almost $1 million too?
I don't think they ever paid her. I think that's the allegation is that they paid her off to not talk. I think there's probably like a suit to like not talk or like a silencing thing. I don't know. I don't
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if they ever actually paid her. But this is kind of like
That might be
kind of
her
along the
actually.
lines. Except that I mean, Obama had all this baggage that if anybody except John McCain had run against him, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I think every other Republican in 2008 that ran for president would have never brought any of that up. Because if it wasn't
Yeah.
John McCain, it was going to be Mitt Romney. And if it wasn't Mitt Romney, maybe
Hmm.
Rudy Giuliani. Maybe Rudy Giuliani brings this up. I don't know. I don't know. But that Rudy Giuliani is somewhat different than the Rudy Giuliani of today, who who's just I don't even know how to describe him at this point. I'm at a loss for words.
Well, how come the Democratic Party keeping a secret?
Well,
It's like trying to
I don't think it's a secret.
close us off.
I don't think they know. I don't. If you told me, actually, that's a good question. I
No,
don't think
no, they
it's
have to know. They
I
have to
don't
know.
I don't think they care to know. That's I think that's where I'm gonna go with that. I think because every single big member of Congress has these secrets. Like Nancy and her husband invest money in stocks and portfolios, and we know that it's pretty much insider trading, but they won't. Nobody will say it is because nobody wants to get in trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
right.
right, but and other ones have it too. like Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese spy as a limo driver. The dude
Hmm.
the dude who got pegged by another Chinese spy. What's that? Swalwell.
Oh, what's yeah, yeah.
Swalwell, and then they all have this bag. Most of them have baggage. So it's like the Kennedys, Ted Kennedy with that woman that he let die in a getting drowned in a lake, like like in the 70s or whatever, or no, in the 60s I think. Like they have baggage. A lot of them have baggage. Robert Byrd was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan in West Virginia for years, and he was a senator, a Democratic senator, ironically. Like these are things that happen,
Okay.
obviously. So like there's baggage. So it's like I think they obviously some are more explicit than others, but they overlook kind of stuff. So I don't even know if the Democrats would know. There's obviously there's the rumors that I think they know. I think they hide it because they realized that nobody in America was going to believe it, and the
Right.
media at the time pretty much, as they always do, it's all right. If they say something negative, it's not that it's fake, it's that the person that's saying it can't be trusted, even if we can't refute anything he says. Because even though, yes, he is a cokehead, he was a drug addict, he dealt drugs, he went to jail, he was a con man, he lied, he says that he has a terminal illness, but here he is still today. I get it. He's a liar. But out of all the things he's lied about, this is the only thing that still is like the only thing. He has the same dates, he has the same times, he says the same story. It doesn't change. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed from when he first said it. It hasn't changed in over 13, 15 years. But no one in
Yeah.
the media at the moment would ever bring the guy on for an interview and say, "Hey," because this is the point about journalism. Journalism is about putting out stories without an agenda, without a bias. So if you're going to give President Obama or then Senator Obama the benefit of the doubt of saying that never happened, well, you have to give this guy and pretty much say, okay, why do you say it happened? Tell me. And then let people decide on their own. There are people who are deciding that he's gay without without even looking at either side. Like there's people who already made up their mind. You're not going to convince those people. You know what I mean? You're not going to
Right.
convince,
Right.
I'm not going to convince you that Obama's not gay. And you're not going to convince a Democrat a black Democrat in Plainfield that he is gay. You're not. That's not going to happen. But for someone but for it, I actually don't even care if he's gay, to be honest. It's more of the fact that he is probably one of the biggest frauds in modern American history to run for office. He is a fraud. That would be the biggest. That would be the biggest thing is that this man ran for office in 2008 and said that he was against gay marriage, but then turned out to be the gayest president of all time. That is that's the fraud. He said at the time he believed marriage was between a man and a woman, but he engaged in, and it's not
Right.
even
Yes,
that
I was. Yeah.
because it's not just
No. Yeah, I
that.
was gonna bring that up as well. But I was also gonna ask, like, if it's not a big thing, right? If it's not a big issue, do you think that he would still be president if everyone knew that he was gay?
No, because no, because it's the sort of allegation. No, because at that time America was still different. America was different than no, he wouldn't have. But it's like once that comes out and people start believing it's true, everything else comes out. It's not just that. It's Reverend White, his pastor, who was extremely like controversial. His pastor was pretty much like um this like incredibly racist guy who had like anti-Semitic um um like he had these anti-Semitic comments. He disliked America. He hated white people. He was controversial. It was stuff like that, pretty much. And he talked about pretty much, the United States engaged in terrorism abroad. Takes about the typical things like taking land from the Indians and We
Hey,
pretty much say he also used to say stuff like pretty much America deserved all the terror, like that America deserved. And this was, by the way, this is Obama's personal pastor. This isn't a friend of his that he knew from being in Chicago. This
yeah,
is a pastor he went
right.
to on a weekly basis, that he supported, that he went to his church. Pretty much said that like this is um pretty much saying that, like, for example, like, the United States bombed Nagasaki and killed millions of innocent people, essentially equating that to saying that that's a big part as to why we deserve the terrorism. Like, we deserve 9/11, or we deserve, Arabs coming and bombing us, and we deserve uh domestic terrorism, things like that. Pretty much saying like it's like that thing about like the chickens coming home to roost. Like, we had this coming, like, obviously the stuff about Palestine, like, oh, we pretty much uh the policies we had against the Palestine in South Africa and through in regards to apartheid for years, that was terrorism. And so what's happening with the Arabs is just terrorism against us again. That's, we deserve it. Like, we did that to ourselves. It's like, okay, that all
Hmm.
aligns with a certain um ideology of, pretty much blacks hating America, because he used to say stuff also like it was also very racial. Also, it's like America was built by white. The typical stuff you hear by BLM. It's like America was built as a white nationalist country. It's a white supremacist nation. When the founders wrote the Constitution, they wrote it because they wrote it with the intent of saying that only white men are, equal, instead of saying all men are created equal. What they want actually meant was
Right,
all white men are created equal. The typical stuff you talk about now, pretty much saying that,
right.
all the presidents are, handpicked, and um, shit like that. Just
So now we can confirm that Barack Obama is the first gay president of the United States.
I mean, if he wasn't the gay president, he was the gayest president. I mean, he governed like the gayest president. He did more shit for gay people than he did for black people, and I didn't even care about. I'm not even
I mean, he was trying to spread the whole gay stuff on Africa too, wasn't he?
the gay stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the only president that hung the gay flag and lit the White House with the gay colors. You ever saw that photo when the Supreme Court
Oh
passed?
no, no, I just saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
like
seen
like
that
in
before.
front of the White House, it was all like,
It was with
yeah, I
gay
saw
flags. I mean, he took down American flags and put up gay flags. Like, that's what he did.
that.
He fought for gay rights. He called it. I remember the bathrooms in North Carolina in 2014, 2015. He
Yeah,
fought hard for
right.
that. Like, he was the gayest president ever. I mean, the fact that he's gay, the fact that there's rumors that he's gay. It's also like these aren't just rumors that this guy like is that there was. You probably heard about the diary that's coming out, the letters that he wrote to his ex girlfriend at the time,
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that
about him
on
pretty much
X.
fantasizing
Oh,
about having gay sex with men.
man, yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's not new. They kind of made that woman look like she was insane at the time, and she's not. And she had been saying that. I mean, she said, I mean, she always talked about how she was being threatened. They made her like not. They made her kind of disappear pretty much. They took all credibility away from her, saying that she was like a jealous, crazy ex girlfriend. I mean, they kind of like they wasted. It's like the Hunter Biden story. They made sure nobody ever mentioned it. The media wasn't going to have it because this was the first black president, and
Hmm.
he and Michelle, Big Mike, were really big into talking about how they faced extreme hardships in America, and how, I mean, Michelle always talked about how she was never proud of America. Even on the day of her inauguration, she was not proud. Or pretty much, I don't know,
Then why the fuck is she
up
here?
to the day of her inauguration, she said, I was never proud about America. So, I mean, it's, I really just don't care about. What bothers me is that nobody wants to focus on the fact that we have to pretty much, for once and for all, reveal the fact that Obama was the worst president America had until Joe Biden. He was. He like he
Sure,
was
yeah.
worse than Jimmy Carter. To me, because Jimmy Carter did not racially incite this country. He never did it. He was too kind and peaceful. Obama
Hmm.
incited racial tension. He made people tribalize instead of saying, I mean, he had that speech and saying, we're not a black America, we're not a white America. He said that in 2004, but he did not govern like that. He governed like there was a black
Right.
America, there was a white America, Hispanic America, and the Asian America, and that Hispanic America and Asian America have to support black America because that's the most oppressed group in America against white America. That's pretty much what he did. That. I mean, not only that, then the foreign policy, um, helping create a crisis in Ukraine that now led to the Ukrainian war, um, not pretty much being trampled over by China, of course. Tremendous amount of foreign aid given out to countries that hate us today. Resetting relations with Cuba, which has set that back decades until today. Um, I mean, just a horrendous American foreign policy, and then domestically, the worst economic recovery from a big recession ever. I mean, he never hit 3% GDP
Right.
as president. Never got close until the last year of his presidency. Um, Trump did get over 3% GDP, which Obama never did, and I don't think Biden has, because then they would be talking
I
about
don't think Biden went with it.
it. I mean, they gave weapons to the Mexican cartels. They gave American military weapons to the Mexican cartels because he said and they said, Eric Holder then said it would be easier to track them that way. I mean, the stupidest excuse ever. He lied to undocumented Hispanics, pretty much telling them directly that he would give them a pathway to citizenship twice in 2008 and 2012, and then went on to deport the most Hispanic undocumented immigrants ever. He built the cage
Right.
that separated families, and then pivoted that to the Trump administration, even though that was already there.
Yeah, blame that
And
on blame that on
he,
Trump.
yeah, it's like there's just like um, so many things. He cried about a gun shooting, even though he could have done anything about it. Like, here's the thing: I'm not in favor of gun
Oh
control.
yeah.
I'm not in favor of gun control. But when you have the House, when you have the Senate, and when you have the presidency, and you're complaining about something, but you can actually do something, and all you did was pass a horrible healthcare system, which still continues to ruin this country, by the way, because it doesn't work.
Hmm.
That's on you, bud. That's on you. Like, you could have done that. Like, everything you complain about, you literally could have done for 4 years. You could have done anything. You just couldn't, because what Democrats are good at is passing things when they're in power, not like Republicans. Republicans like to bitch and whine and complain because they can't decide. They actually could decide, except that they failed that one time. But then when Biden came in, guess you notice how they didn't waste time and they did all that bullshit. No, they don't waste time because they learn
Yeah.
from their mistakes. Republicans don't do that bullshit. Actually,
Right.
no, we do the bullshit. We do whine and bitch and complain
Well,
because
now you can see with Obama going around and helping out Biden in his rallies. Not a lot of people show up anymore, and then he'll also get some hecklers as well. Um, but with the whole story of him being gay, I think a lot of people just question why was not like this was talked about. Like people actually would think that he is a fraud, and I'm saying that not because people back then didn't think that he was a fraud. So I feel like with this story, a lot of people can, I guess, wake up from it. I mean, I'm not a lot of people are gonna give a shit, honestly. My problem was why were the politicians and the media they were just trying to hide it. That was my like questioning. That was something that I was confused about. But then I also asked you the question: would you think that he would be president if everyone knew that he was gay?
no, it's not
So
because of the
that
gay thing. I think if the McCain campaign had actually campaigned and actually brought up the obvious question marks about his past and said, hey, why were you a completely different person when you were in college? What happened when you went to Kenya? How come you have an estranged relationship with all your brothers? How come one of your half brothers in Kenya, who you grew up with when you were there, is saying that you're a complete fraud. What's up with that? Because that's what they do to Trump.
Right.
If Trump had like Trump's niece, his sister's daughter, the psychologist who
Hmm.
thinks she knows everything about her family, but she doesn't. Actually, that's not no.
Yeah.
That's actually his older brother who he admired and loved. That's his daughter who shits on him now. That's how fucked up that situation is. Fred, that's Fred.
Didn't she also wrote a book too, or
Yeah,
something
she
like
wrote a
that?
book and profited, and the media pretty much paraded her around
Yeah.
as like the Trump whisperer, even though she had nothing concrete. It's like there's nothing on there. She's just shitting on
Yeah.
him because she
I
doesn't like
remember
the
that.
policies. That's why.
Right.
And so it's like they
Right.
do that, but if Obama has a half brother in Africa, in Kenya, who pretty much comes out and says, "Yeah, he's a bullshit artist. None of the things he's saying that he is what he is." That's ignored. That brother is actually just jealous, and nobody mentioned him. Nobody. CNN, CBS, MSNBC, no one there will ever mention. And by the way, even Fox, none of them were going to mention Malik Obama. None of them. None of them. None of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
None of them.
yeah. Right,
So,
right, right.
so it's like,
Yeah.
why? Why do that? Why do they always do that to us? But when we have somebody legitimately, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So it's like if the McCain campaign, instead of saying, "Oh yeah, he's a fine gentleman, a fine family man," it's like, no, wait a second, because the Obamas campaigned and called you racist. They said that you were racist, old, out of touch, a statue, that you were pretty much grifting on the fact that you were a POW. They did all that. They did all of that. They made him look like a old, racist, decrepit old man that was gonna make. I mean, Biden used to say like, "They're gonna put you back in chains." They did that to McCain. They destroyed Sarah Palin. They made Sarah Palin look like she was a stupid bimbo, and she's not even a bimbo.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I mean, they
Yeah, I remember
destroyed
when
her.
I was a kid. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody expected you to see her as a stupid idiot, but all she was. Even McCain betrayed her because of that. Like that's how weak he was as a presidential candidate. Weak because he pretty much backstabbed her after the election and said, "I should have never selected her." It's like, yeah, but you needed charisma, you needed someone energetic, and she was energetic. I mean, she's not incredibly smart, but you don't need that. I mean, look at the vice. I mean, come on, our vice president is stupid as fuck. So it's like,
oh
what?
yeah.
I mean, Kamala is the dumbest person to ever run to ever be vice president. I mean, they used to make fun of Dan Quayle in the '90s, in the late '80s and '90s. Like, Kamala Harris is horrible. She speaks in circles. She mentions like she's completely horrible.
Speaking of vice president, um, what about Noam becoming vice president with
Yeah, that's actually
Donald
interesting because
Trump?
I was about to ask you that too because um I was watching that and I was also watching Tim Dillon had on RFK Jr. and
Hmm.
it was a very good episode. He talked a lot about what I really like about Trump and RFK is that they talk about really important issues, like the fact that Americans can't afford to buy a home, the fact that they can't afford
Right.
to actually live their daily lives without credit cards because most Americans are now putting everything on a credit card because their salary doesn't amount to much because of first of all inflation.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and then also the fact Ukraine is also, but also like the food and the health in this country and the fact that every single major industry in this country is pretty much bought up politicians and how it kind of makes you think that like to really have a change you have to literally get rid of every single member of Congress like immediately. Like almost every single member of Congress is bought and paid for. Every single one
And
of them.
it's tough to do that if you want to like yeah, if you want to remove all of them.
It's so tough because
It's gonna be
I
so
was
tough. Yeah.
just today we were talking at work pretty much about like term limits. It came up like some people that came and they were like, yeah, somebody was like, yeah, I just don't think we should have a president who's over 70. And someone else was like, because that's like anti-democratic because there are people that are 75 that are actually like still functioning like Trump and Obama and
Yeah.
like Trump,
Okay.
like even in the Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders is still like more still functions
He
better than
probably speaks better than speaks
he
better than
does.
Biden.
He does
Yeah,
better than Biden, and he knows issues. Not that I agree with anything he'll say, but he knows issues better than Biden. Better than he can tell. He can articulate his thoughts better than Biden. He does a better job than Biden.
yeah. Biden will
That's
find his way to bullshit around. Yeah.
exactly like this is like there's a you can see that there's actually a brain functioning. So
Hmm.
so it's like
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, but they do they make you think and they actually like talk and they're knowledgeable what they say. So like when it comes to vice president, I was like the best thing that could have really happened for this country is Trump and RFK coming together. Or that if Trump wins, RFK help Trump in the cabinet in a huge way. And you can
If
check
it's
my Twitter account and you can see what I posted on there. If RFK Jr. doesn't want to be his vice president, and I'll let you get into that after this thought, but like he should be the Secretary of State or health and the health secretary HHS. That's my thought. Go ahead.
I think that would be ideal too. I was gonna say um the typical Trump president and then vice president RFK. No one can actually beat that.
No,
No one can.
no, because you're gonna have no. You're not gonna beat that. And but obviously, like there's the conflict of interest there because RFK is pretty much gonna say like Trump doesn't really agree with my because RFK does believe in abortion. He does believe in like climate change. He does
Yeah.
believe in affirmative action.
Yeah.
And so, like in terms of social
Right.
policy, yeah, that's not going to happen. But like when it comes and economic policy, also RFK is not going to want to cut taxes, even though JFK did cut taxes.
Hmm.
So it's like there's like these little mini conflict of interest, which is like yeah, they might not really get along if they did that because um,
Well, I mean, when it comes to abortion and climate change, those are not the big issues. They will tackle the main issues with it, which is the economy and then less government. Want our freedom back. Make sure that the First Amendment, Second Amendments,
yeah,
protected no matter what.
exactly. And you make a good point is that they'll focus on the key issues because they can. I think what Trump does better than any other Republican, I think including Vivek, obviously, is that he can market the issues way better because they come from him. He sets the tone, he sets the narrative. Nobody in 2015 was talking about illegal immigration in a serious way until Donald Trump announced he was running for office. I remember that. None of them were. They were all talking about, oh, we have to help Border Patrol and we have to stop with people getting in and we have to address.
They're too nice.
None of them.
Yeah, they're
None of
too
them was talking about a wall.
nice.
None of them was talking about deportations. None of them was talking about remaining in Mexico. None of them. Absolutely none of them. Ron DeSantis brings up a wall, but Ron DeSantis was in Congress before Trump even announced for president. Why didn't he mention a wall? Because he's a rhino and he had a rhino voting record as a congressman. He did. That like he can't escape that reality. From 2013 to 2018 to 2019 when he first ran when he was it was inaugurated for governor, he left Congress with a rhino voting record. I mean, he voted against funding the wall because of the government shutdown. Ron DeSantis did that. Ron DeSantis voted against the wall. His excuse is what? Like his
Interesting.
excuse. Like, come on. Like there's no excuse there. And so
What
like
was that?
that's what he's gonna say.
I
That's what
could,
he's
I
gonna
could imagine him do that. Yeah.
say.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is so unexpected.
But that's what he's gonna say. So it's like it's but it's marketing.
Carry on.
But it's marketing. So it's like Trump and RFK can market the issues. And you mentioned abortion. The Democrats always use abortion to pretty much rile up their base and make it seem like it's the most important thing ever. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter that Russia is invading Ukraine and we're sending all of our tax money in terms of like over $100 billion. It doesn't matter that China is getting more powerful and that they want to get rid of the U.S. currency as the benchmark across the world. It doesn't matter that
And they did a good job doing
Afghanistan,
that.
and we're gonna get into that later. That Afghanistan is not that was horrible, and they're gonna let Iran have nukes and all the other bullshit, and they want to bring back the COVID and the BLM, and they sick the FBI on
Talking about
parents
Russia.
when they go to school. Like when parents go to school meetings, the DOJ recommends the FBI pretty much tag and monitor and surveil them and go to their houses. Like they did that, but abortion is the biggest deal for them. Trump and RFK have the ability
Yeah.
to say, they have the ability to market and change the narrative and say, no, abortion doesn't matter. That's not our biggest problem. Maybe it is a problem, but that's not our biggest issue. Actually, China, Russia, and the economy, those three, because guess what? Who gives a shit about getting an abortion if you can't even afford the gas to go get an abortion? Because it's so
Yeah.
goddamn expensive. You can't afford your rent. So it's
Right.
like, who gives a shit that you're like, you're focused on abortion? You can't even pay your rent. You're about to be homeless, sweetheart. Like that's a marketing the fact that the Biden administration has failed on the key issues in America is a way better marketing tactic than, yeah, we need to have pro-life governors everywhere, because that's what Ron DeSantis is going to say. I said Rob DeSantis.
I didn't
Rob.
hear that.
What did you hear? I think I said
Rob.
Ro.
No, he does look like a Rob.
This dude can't even say his last name, bro. He always
Robert.
says Ron DeSantis.
DeSantis. Yeah, I thought
A
it was
name.
DeSantis, but he's very white with his last name. DeSantis.
Dude, he sounds like he's 60 years old and he's only 44. It's like, what the fuck? I like, what? He's
I
just,
thought I
he's
sound worse, but
exhausted. He's
now
exhausted.
now I feel better.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He makes me
But
feel.
no, yeah, but no, it's like I mentioned before. Like if you would have Trump as president and RFK as vice president, that right there is a powerhouse right there. You
Yes.
can't even if you put in like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton as president, and Barack Obama as
Yeah, well, they
vice
want
president.
Michelle
Just for
Obama
example, I
now.
know that's not gonna happen, obviously.
They might put a measure. They might
Oh
put.
yeah, I heard about that. I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure if it's
saw that.
true, but I know they've been wanting it for a while. I think the problem is, I think that would backfire. I personally
It
think.
is gonna backfire. Nobody wants that. Some will. I mean, when you got the radical left, yeah, they want that. It's a strong, powerful black woman. We need that in the United States.
Yeah, said no
That's
one ever.
they'll like that. But then when you got the liberals, like the common sense liberals, they know the bullshit. They don't want that. So good luck grabbing those votes. This is not Obama 2007, 2008. So
No, yeah, it's way different. I think people have gotten over it. I think the fact that and there's these strange videos of her, like she's vacationing alone in like Spain and stuff in Mallorca.
yeah, I saw.
I'm like, yeah, this is odd.
Yeah, apparently like separated or something. I don't know.
That's like, I don't. And then there's also photos of Sasha.
Maybe
Sasha, I think the youngest one is smoking cigarettes, and she's like fat, and like she shows
yeah.
like
Yeah, she's going fat. What the hell?
it's like completely disgusting, and like everybody's like, yeah, she's a queen. It's like, no, she's disgusting. That's gross. Nobody should be
I
cheering.
never really find them attractive either.
Like maybe the oldest daughter is semi attractive, but it's like,
She's all right. Every time I look at her, I look at Michelle Obama,
so you're looking at a guy.
but the skinny version.
You mean the female version?
Like if you would have Michelle Obama as president, who would her vice president be? They don't want Kamala.
Lizzo?
That might work. Cause we got a lot of young stupid people around here.
Yeah,
got
that's how unfortunate.
a lot of young dumb fucks around here. And that's a sad truth. I'm a Gen Z myself, so
Oh yeah,
a
Gen Z.
lot of dumb
I
fucks.
always hear these Republicans talking about Gen Z is going to be conservative. I was like, no, it's not. It's insanely
Yeah,
retarded.
I've been hearing a lot of studies. Apparently,
The men,
young Gen Z
the guy.
men are are becoming more conservative. It's like
Yeah,
I don't
because
know if I say
they
that.
most of them are incels and they listen to Andrew Tate and Sneeko and Biko and Kiko
Mm,
and
that actually might be right. Yeah,
the fucking
that might be right. Thanks to them, now we're all conservatives.
the fags, the fresh and fags. That's
Um,
that's
yeah. Back to Trump and RFK. I just punched my forehead. Fuck.
I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
they're like yeah, they have differences when it comes to policies, but they can move aside the policies like abortion and climate change. Those are not the important things that
Yeah,
that they want to tackle on.
exactly.
Oh, and especially yeah, they also want to wait. What's RFK's policies on the border? I've never really heard his policy on the border.
He pretty much agrees with Trump.
Might be the same with Trump.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
much
Okay.
the
Yeah.
same with Trump, and he
Yeah,
recognizes
because
Trump.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a national security
yeah,
concern.
and
Yeah.
he pretty
Okay.
much he
That
went
makes
down
sense.
there and he pretty much told everybody the truth. It's like this is not Hispanics. This is not mostly Hispanics. This is people from legit everywhere. Asia, deep
There's
Asia,
also yeah,
like deep
yes.
Central
Dude,
Asia.
I've even seen some Indian guys too. It's like
Yeah.
how? Like
Wha- Well, it's easy. They just get a flight to Mexico and they just cross and it's easy and they get in. It's like,
oh yeah, I mean like
yeah, it's insane.
yeah,
Yeah. But if it's not
it's literally
RFK,
everywhere.
if it's not RFK, I'm thinking if I was a betting man, and I kind of am, I'm thinking it might be Kirsty Noem.
I mean yeah,
Trump
it's up
said
there right now.
Trump did say he wanted a woman. I don't know why he would
But
box
can you
her in that
trust her
way,
though?
but Kirsty Noem is is
Can you trust her though?
Kirsty Noem. I do. She is the only governor.
Your other wife.
She is the only governor in America. DeSantis likes to claim that he is, but no, she's the only governor that didn't lock down during COVID. The only one. They never had
Really?
mask mandates. They never had the vaccine mandates. They're the only ones who did festivals during COVID. Um,
Then why won't the fuck? She wasn't even attacked by the media and everyone else.
well, she was. Remember, they had that
That's funny.
they had that Fourth of July thing.
I don't remember. All I know is that they were too busy focusing on Ron DeSantis. That's it.
DeSantis,
Yeah.
DeSantis, DeSantis,
DeSantis, whatever his name is.
Capri. It's like this is literally like Capri or Capri Sun. Is it Capri Sun or is it Capri Sun? It's like
Ron the Capri Sun.
Rob the Capri Sun. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's
I didn't know
Christina
that.
because I don't have any other names. I think I'm right about the statistic. I might be wrong. Maybe she's the only one that didn't lock down after like the March stuff. But I think she's like after that they never did it again.
He probably did only for a bit, yeah, and then
For
just
that like
stopped.
15 days, yeah, I think. Right, but I mean South Dakota has like barely has like what? A population of what? Like probably like
Barely
what, a
anyone there.
million people? A million maybe? I'm not even sure. Let me see right now.
Would you ever live there?
Um, you know what?
If you had the
I'm
chance, would
not.
you ever live there?
Yeah, I feel like I probably would. I mean, I probably would. I mean, I'm not completely against looking at the. It's not
I wouldn't mind either. As long there's stuff that I can do
like what?
that's fun, I'll be down.
So it has almost 900,000 people. So like yeah, it has almost 900,000 people. The entire state.
Damn, now
Yeah,
you know.
there's not a lot of
Yeah,
people. No,
jeez.
these are small states. I mean, Nebraska has almost 2 million. Montana has just over a million. Um, Wyoming has less than 600,000 people.
Oh wow, crazy. Wow, I think it'd be nice to live up there.
Yeah, I
I
think
know
you
New Jersey is over two
appreciate.
million.
Well, it's a lot of farmland, mining. It's like a big state for that. Gold.
Hmm.
oil, you know, other minerals and stuff, and farming. There's a lot of farming. So it's a different culture. It's not a state where you'd say like it's not like it's a
Yeah, it
completely
is a different culture. Yeah.
completely different. So you have to be aware that things are not. It's not like here where you're used to like the fact that there's a micro center, Walmart, Target, Best Buy.
Whereas like fast paced. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
nah, it's slow. It's slow. It's calm. It's distant. There's not everybody in town knows each other. People there are more inclined to do things. There's like it's far more blue collar. It's a state where people, they're like real lift yourself up by the bootstrap people. They get up at 3 a.m. and they go out and work on the farm or in the mines or in the work sites or in the oil. They do that. So like this isn't New Jersey where people are too scared to go outside because of climate change or they scream at the sky or they build statues for George Floyd. They don't do that here. Yeah, they don't do that here. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a different state. Now, why do I think it would be fine if she's vice president? Because I just like smacked the fuck out of my mic. Because I think after like Kamala Harris, I think we're gonna have a transformation. The fact that Mike Pence is like a complete flop, I think most Americans are like, yeah, that dude is like that dude after he was vice president, nobody gave a shit about him. He was not useful
Yeah.
after
Good way.
2016 election. I don't think he helped I don't think he helped Trump in 2020. I think he
No.
did a disservice. Obviously the ending. I just don't think he's like I don't think people and then after Kamala Harris, pretty much showing that the vice president barely exists. Um, I think people are ready for a vice president
And
that
he pretty
I,
much killed his own career too.
yeah, and then remember Kamala Harris barely doesn't exist. As like, I mean, has she done anything? No. Will she do anything? No. Can she complete
No.
sentences? No. Can she suck dick? Yes. But that's not really in the job details. That's not her main, that's not her main responsibilities. That's not in the job form. So it's like, um, Kirsty
I
Noam
mean, it
come
probably
in.
is now these days because some of the people in the White House like to get pegged.
Wow. But Kirsty Noam, she's the governor. She's the two-time governor of a state by that point. You know what I mean? Like she has a record. She's strong. She's resilient. She's not afraid of the media. She's gone on other networks and she's taken the bullet. She's taken the heat for the COVID. She took heat for being so pro-Trump. She's taken heat for not doing the transgenders and the other stuff. And I think she's not wacky. I think she has an ability. Yeah, she's not. She's also not outlandish. She doesn't go on these all tangents. She's not a flip flopper. She's very rigid and she's goal oriented. I think she's also pragmatic because the Santas used to like to talk about shit about how he was organized and that when he when I get something done, there's no lollygagging because he would be the dude to say lollygagging. The oldest 44-year-old.
Well, when you have someone like him, he's much of a flip flopper,
No,
especially when it comes to
she's
the
not. She's not going to flip flop on him. I don't think she is. So, um, and I don't think in
I
the
don't know
general
so.
election, I don't think in a general election it really matters that you're loyal to Trump. But I think in the primary, obviously does, and I think she's already put her. I think she's pretty much already set in stone that she's going to be loyal to Trump from here on out. There's no flip flopping. It doesn't matter if Ron DeSantis comes to North Carolina, North Dakota tomorrow. She's not going to flip flop. She's not going to play games. She's not going to be like, let me see the options, like here, like Kim Reynolds in Iowa, like Chris Sununu in New Hampshire has already come out and he's anti-Trump, obviously, and Trump's going to win that state. So I don't know how that's going to work out. South Carolina, the
Mhm.
third state I mean, that's pro-Trump. Lindsey Graham is pro-Trump. Tim Scott, I know, is running, but who cares? The governor there is pro-Trump.
Lindsey Graham is pro Trump.
Lindsey Graham is pro-Trump. Surprisingly, he is. Yeah, he's that weird dude. He's like the little. Um,
Him?
well,
Wow.
remember, he's pro-Trump because Trump he holds a lot of influence. People like Lindsey Graham, what they're after is influence. They want to be near the guy who has power. They want to be near the kings. They're not kingmakers, They're they're jesters. They're fools. They'll do whatever the hell the person in power says. That's why he's nice to Biden. That's why he's nice to Schumer. That's why he's nice with Pelosi, and that's why he's nice with Trump, because he likes to be friends with everybody. He wants to be friends. He doesn't want to be on anyone's bad side anymore. He's learned that he has to be he has to be on the good side of the people that have influence if he wants to get stuff done. If he wants to feel like he has anything good to say. So that's Lindsey Graham. So yes, he does support Trump, and he has been. He endorsed him already.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Interesting.
That's
Well,
how
yeah,
he.
I mean, I'm still kind of
He's a
new into the
weasel.
politics stuff, so
He's a weasel. That's what he is.
not too
He's a
much
legit
about.
weasel.
Yeah,
He's a legit
yeah,
weasel.
that's why I'm like, he's pro Trump, like,
Yeah. What would you expect? He's a
but
politician.
I just don't know too much about him. So
He's
okay,
pro
yeah,
Trump. He's
that's
pro Trump in a sense that he's pro Trump being in power because he likes to be near the people in power. That's what he wants. He wants the
yeah.
action.
If he wants to find ways to get up there, then yeah.
Yeah, he's never going to be president. He may have a cabinet position, or maybe he might be ambassador somewhere one day. Maybe. But he's not. No. He's going to be a senator for life because Republicans aren't. I mean, unless he gets primaried, and no Republican would want him to be um, taken by a Democrat, instead of a Republican. Because, by the way, he was useful. He was like a useful idiot. I mean, he was extremely pro every judge that Trump nominated. Pro Kavanaugh. He defended Kavanaugh the strongest. Pro Gorsuch. Pro Amy Coney Barrett. Pro against the Russia hoax. I mean, he was a strong ally of Trump. He was just a rhino. I mean, he instigated this Ukraine conflict with John McCain. He's guilty of that. Like, I mean, he's going to be
Yeah,
guilty.
right.
Like, there's people. It's complicated. People are complicated. I'll use. It's like, why can't I? Why can't I be? Why I'm okay with him supporting us if I can use him. Why can't Trump use him? Why not? Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on now. So
I want to ask you, what do you think about McCarthy so far in his uh position right now as secretary?
House Secretary, Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House, sorry.
Yeah. Um, I this is difficult. He is working with a Democratic Senate and a Democratic president, so he is effectively still in the minority because there's nothing he can do um, to really actually enact any real change. What he has to do is keep the fort and resist every single horrible bill the Senate wants to make, and pretty much fight the fact that Biden wants to do things in the House. I do not like the fact that they're still giving money to Ukraine. That's my biggest critique. I know Republicans want to impeach
All right.
Biden. I don't think I think it's going to backfire. I don't think people.
I feel like they're just stalling that whole impeachment shit.
I don't think it. I don't. This is my thing. I don't think it's politically expedient. I think it's politically expedient. I don't think it's politically um, a good move to impeach him. I don't think it does anything. You
Hmm.
disagree? Say,
I don't know. He's a bit complicated, but I get
yeah,
where your point is
yeah.
because you
But
can't
you
really do
want
much.
you want Biden impeached just to say Biden is impeached. Haha, look at that. I'm saying, yeah, but then what? Because then it looks like what the Democrats did to us, because that's how the independent voters are going to feel. There is no polling to suggest that impeaching Biden would be a positive for Republicans in November 2024. It's not going to look good. It's going to look like what happened to Trump again. People are going to say the Democrats are
Mhm.
using the power to get against Trump, and they're going to say Republicans, instead of doing anything in the House, what they did instead was impeach Biden. And then what are Republicans? What am I supposed to say? It's called marketing. You got
Right.
to market. You have to be able to spread a message with the least complications or sidetracks of, oh, you impeached Biden, but you didn't like the fact that they impeached Trump. It's like most Americans still do not know
Mhm.
enough about the stuff the Democrats did to Trump that was unfair. They don't. They don't know about they haven't realized that the Russia things was fake. They haven't realized that he's not actually racist like they say he is. They haven't realized that he tried to use Zelensky to get Joe Biden in jail. They don't realize the full extent how corrupt Hunter Biden and Joe Biden is. They don't. Why? Because they're not into politics like us. They're not. Most Americans are not. Why? Because they're too busy paying their bills with credit cards. So that's why. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. It's like
Yeah.
they do not have the time to focus on it. So Ben Shapiro can complain and say that most Americans want Ron DeSantis. Most Americans do not know who Ron DeSantis is. That's the truth. Right? That's the truth. So you live in a bubble.
If I ask some of my friends, if I ask some of my friends, even my own mother, like about the governor of Florida, they don't even know his name.
They don't. Most
They
Americans
don't.
don't. They're
They just
just
don't
focused
know
on.
who he is.
They don't. But if you talk about Trump, oh
He's
Trump,
not
yeah, I know
popular
Trump,
like that.
yes, they know,
He thinks he's popular like that.
because they live in a bubble. Everyone lives in their own bubble of what the world is like outside.
Right.
DeSantis thought that the
Mhm.
Twitter bubble of Elon liking him and Joe Rogan thinking Florida was cool and the people moving down there was meant that he was ready to be president. It didn't, and it hasn't panned out, and it won't pan out. Ron DeSantis will quit the
Right.
election, will quit the primaries once he loses Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, because he will lose New Hampshire and he might lose any. There's a very strong chance he will lose Iowa, and I think he'll lose New Hampshire and South Carolina. I don't think he'll make it to Super Tuesday. I'm here to predict that. I do not think Ron DeSantis will make it to Super Tuesday. Just my thought. And I think the rest will follow.
Interesting thought.
I think Mike Pence was not going to last. I think Vivek will probably hang
Oh
around
no.
and talk about stuff. I don't think he'll win any primaries, but I think he'll hang around and be like, "Yeah, I'm here, and I'm going to rap Eminem because I'm bored and I'm Indian and I'm cringe." So whatever the hell he is. And Chris Christie will be fat and roll around everywhere, and Doug Burgum, Dougie
He's
B.
gonna roll. He's gonna roll around back to fucking
Nick,
Mendham.
yeah, Nikki Haley's exactly. Nikki Haley's gonna run out of money soon, and once she loses South Carolina, she'll quit. And maybe beg Trump to be the vice president. But we don't want her. Tim Scott will quit because he'll run out of money. Um, Ada, fuck, who cares? Who cares?
Who the fuck? Nobody knows him.
I mean, so exactly. That's how that's gonna. I guess before we finish, I want to talk about China a little bit because do you know about BRICS?
Yeah, I do know a little bit of BRICS. I think I've also heard more countries are joining um along with
Yeah.
them.
So there's more countries
Uh
joining, but I was very concerned about BRICS when it first came out. But BRICS isn't new.
yeah,
BRICS doesn't
right.
stand for anything except for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's all it stands for. BRICS. Brazil, Russia,
Hmm.
India, China, and South Africa. And what was that
Right.
alliance all about? That was effectively an alliance to counteract the West. They tried to make themselves into the opposite of the G4, the G7, I mean, and have their own idea of a federation of nations. You could call them the unallied, the non-allied nations, who are obviously the one. And then they added their friends, Iran, Argentina, Ethiopia,
Hmm.
Saudi
I was
Arabia,
surprised about them.
Palestine,
Palestine too?
Dubai, the Emirates are in there. Um, they're joining,
No, I know Egypt is, yeah, Egypt joining too.
and then yeah, there's a bunch of them that are joining, except for any major countries in Asia. There are no major countries in Asia joining. Why is that? So China is the one who came up with this. The Chinese came up with this alliance because they wanted to counteract U.S. hegemony, and they wanted to make an organization that would counteract the United States primarily. It's obviously all to counteract the United States because the European Union, as much as they want to pretend, they are following whatever the hell the United States tells them to do. Why? Because they obviously need our defense. And any president who wants to be effective, would if I was president, I would constantly remind the European Union two things. One, the European Union exists because we made it exist. It's the only reason Western
Right.
Germany was at is it's the only reason Germany is as successful as it is because we wanted it to be, meaning the United States. US foreign policy in the Cold War was to make West Germany extremely prosperous, more prosperous than France, more prosperous than Italy, far more prosperous than Belgium and the Netherlands and Sweden and all of them. That's why they're there. Why? Because we wanted a country that we could have in Europe that would be extremely aligned with us. Now, that has backfired in the last 15 years. They are not. They think they're their own country now. They are, but they think that they do their own shit. Thank you, Angela Merkel, for nothing. I mean, example one, they buy oil from Russia. That's the biggest example. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
They don't buy oil from us. They buy oil.
Is is North Korea also joining with them? I haven't heard about that.
Probably. Why not at this point? But again, I said major Asian country.
That would also be scary too.
No.
I mean, it's scary enough with India, China, Russia, and everyone else joining
So
it,
this is why I wanna. This is kind of what I want to talk about because I mean, I'm between pissed off and I'm between not scared anymore. First of all, I'm pissed off that any African countries have the galls to join BRICS. I mean, the fact that
right?
South Africa, and if I was president, this is what I would do. I would go around the world threatening countries with eliminating U.S. aid, with eliminating foreign aid. South Africa. Let me just say this: South Africa in 2000 in last year, South Africa received the most money, one of the most money out of all the countries in the world in foreign aid. You want to know? Guess how much South Africa received in foreign aid from the United States?
Um, between 1 to 15 billion.
You think it's that much? God damn. No,
Yeah.
a lot qualifies. No, yeah, you're not really aware, but most of the time it's in the millions. It's not usually billions. That's a lot of money. They only send Ukraine billions. No, it's
I mean,
1.1.
America. Yeah,
It's
America's doing
1.1 billion
great.
dollars. No, it's 1.1 billion in dollars. In dollars, 1.1 billion dollars. And this country, South Africa, which by the way struggles to keep the lights on. It has power outages a lot of the time because they cannot run its own
Well,
economy. And it doesn't. It
what
receives
the fuck are they doing with the money?
$1.1 billion from the United States. Okay. Yeah,
So what are they doing with the money?
Yeah, I mean, keeping it, obviously. And then, but that's not the point. That's not the point right now. That's not the point for this discussion. The point is, where the fuck do they get off joining the Chinese and the Russians and trying to say fuck you to the Americans? We're giving you $1.1 billion in aid. In dollars. This isn't in the South African currency. This is in dollars. 1.1 billion. And they're trying to say that we don't have the right to tell them anything. Say they want to take our money and then fuck us.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
Hell no. I mean, if Donald Trump used to say this, obviously it's like, I'm going to give you money and you hate us. It's like, why would I give money to countries that hate us? They should be able to hate us for free.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, this is one of the big 5 countries in BRICS. The S in BRICS is South Africa, a country that can't keep its lights on. But China is using them as a way to counter us, as if we're supposed to be scared. This is why I'm no longer scared, because they're not there. This is the country that they're also aligning with. Ethiopia, which just recently joined BRICS, and they just had a summit in South Africa this past week. And India is now hosting the G20 currently. And I'm okay with India because I'll talk about India. India is smart. India is playing the field, which I'm okay with as of now. But I'll go to Ethiopia. Ethiopia the country that just joined BRICS and said that the United States doesn't have a right to lecture it anymore because it does its own thing. $1.2 billion. It took more than South Africa. $1.2 billion.
Jeez.
They were also caught.
That's how much I make.
The Ethiopians were also caught stealing the money, the food. The United States gives it food. In donate, also part of the donations are food. Millions in dollars of food. You know what they found out? You know what they were caught doing? They were caught stealing
What?
the food and then selling it on the side in markets. That's what they were doing. The food that we gave them for free that they're supposed to give out to the poor kids, they took it, lost it, quote unquote, and then sold it in markets, and then we caught them. That's what they did. I have the article, I think, right here. They had about, so this is an AP article from June 2023. Millions in the United States suspends all food aid in millions in Ethiopia after investigation finds widespread theft. Let's see. How much was the food worth? Oh, wow. Actually, it's worse. In 2022, the United States gave them $1.8 billion in aid.
Jeez. What the fuck?
What did they do? They found out that pretty much some Ethiopians were stealing food, alleging that it was stolen, and then they were found selling it. They found 2,000 tons of wheat. You know what wheat is, right?
Yeah.
It's enough to feed 134,000 people for a month. They found that for sale in a market in the Tigray region town of Shire. So the food the stuff we gave them for free to give up to the poor people, they were selling on the side. This is the country that thinks we can't lecture them and is going to align with China because China, every time that it goes to BRICS, it gives out money to countries because it needs them to join because they can't convince anybody outside of giving them money to join. So I understand why they're joining because they're getting extra money. Xi Jinping has started a pool of $10 billion in BRICS. He's starting a $10 billion fund for countries to join. So that's what he's giving out to those countries, not each in total, $10 billion. I understand now why.
Yeah, right.
But the fact that join, but don't shit on us because I just gave you the most money you've ever received in a year from any other country in the world, 1.8 billion last year, and you're trying to tell us that we can't tell you what to do with that? Honestly, Ethiopia, come on. A country that just got out of a civil war, and by the way, is one of the poorest in Africa. That's who's joining China. That's on China's. By the way, BRICS is supposed to be China's what's that called? Not the Avengers. What the fuck is it called? Well, let's just call it. It's supposed to be like their Avengers. That's who it is. They have one of them. One of them is South Africa, who can barely keep the lights on, and then the other one is and now the one that's joining is Captain Hungry, not Captain Crunch. Captain Hungry, the poorest countries in Africa, is joining BRICS. I mean, honestly, I'm supposed to be worried about that. So now I'm like, hey, I'm not worried about that. Argentina is joining BRICS.
Yeah, I'm surprised by Argentina.
I'm not surprised by Argentina because Argentina has been a communist, has been led by Marxists for like the last 20 years. So don't be surprised. Argentina is joining. Are you scared that they're joining?
Not really.
Do you know what the inflation rate of Argentina is this year?
What is it?
Guess. What do you think it is?
9%.
114%.
What the fuck?
114%. That's the country. That's the country that's joining.
I didn't think it could go that
No,
high.
it's
What
been
the
that
fuck
bad.
was that?
You know how bad it's been in Argentina for the last 100
How bad?
years. For the last 100 years, and they're
Well,
still
that makes
voting,
sense.
and they're still voting for lefties. except for this time when they finally elect a Milei. By the way, Tucker's going to elect him, is going to interview Milei now soon. He's in Argentina right now. Tucker is in Argentina right now.
Oh shit, really?
So there's an interview with Milei, who I'm completely stoked and excited for that. That's the only man who's going to turn that country around, and he's already said he's leaving BRICS and aligning with the United
Mm-hmm.
States because Trump is going to be there. And he pretty much said, I mean, his comments on Trump and Bolsonaro were amazing. He pretty much said it like, it's natural for me to like them. That's what Milei said.
Oh, did you send me a video of
I
him?
sent
I
you
think
of
I've
him,
seen him
yeah, and
before.
I talked about
Yeah,
him on
yeah.
a
Oh,
solo
him.
episode,
Okay, okay.
which I hope
No, yeah,
everyone
yeah,
checks
yeah.
out.
Right, right, right.
All right, the next country that is joining um BRICS is Iran. Should I say more?
Not surprised by that.
Should I say more?
Not surprised by
I mean, what is Iran going to give them? It has a horrible economy. Nobody in Iran likes to be in
that.
Iran because it hates their leadership.
Hmm.
They're a crushing
Hmm.
Marxist-led theocracy because they think Islam is amazing. So my point is again, outside of terrorism, what is Iran bringing to the table?
Alhamdulillah.
Exactly. It's like, what is that going to do for China? The next is Saudi Arabia, which is all right. Okay, Saudi Arabia. You don't like Biden. I get it.
Right.
We don't like Biden either.
Yeah.
But but Putin had a problem with Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia said it was going to cut oil production to like insane levels because it wanted to make more money on oil and take more money from us, which is like, okay, fuck you, Saudi Arabia. But then Putin was like, yeah, that's insane. And so they're not really going eye to eye at this moment right now. Then I think the next country is Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, who again, they're joining everybody. The
Mhm.
Dubai is the richest country on that list in BRICS.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
It is the richest country in BRICS. But
Yep.
did you know that Japan has a higher average income per citizen than Dubai? Did you know that?
Interesting. No, I
Japan,
didn't know that.
which is
Didn't know.
Japan, which is the poorest country in the G7. G7,
Hmm.
which is what BRICS is supposed
Right.
to counter. Japan has a
Mhm.
higher GDP than the United Arab Emirates, which is, by the way, the richest country in in the BRICS.
What is Japan's GDP?
I don't have the exact numbers, but I just know
Really?
that the average
Oh,
income,
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
the average
It's
income
fine.
in, I can look that up right now because I'm also GDP is
Yeah, I'm
4.9
actually just
trillion.
curious.
It's 4.9 trillion in 2021.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow.
You want to know what the you want to know what
Not
the
even over
you
five.
want to know what the United Emirates GDP was?
2 point something.
415 billion.
Say one more time.
The United Arab Emirates has a GDP of 415 billion. I just said Japan has a GDP of how much?
4.9, whatever it was.
4.9 what?
Trillion.
Trillion, yeah, with a T. The UAE is supposed to be the wealthiest country in by the way, I mean wealthiest per income. Per income.
Billion?
So per income. So per income per citizen. This is Dubai, by the way.
Right, right,
It's all the incels want to go because they think it's awesome and they think it's like the future and extremely
right.
well. And it's for the rich people. The average income of a citizen in the UAE is lower than one in Japan. And why am I highlighting this? Because the UAE is supposed to be the richest country for average income in in BRICS. Obviously, China has the biggest economy in competition with India, even though India is pretty much overtaking them. India is in the
Hmm.
G20 and going to be in the G7 probably very soon. I think it may be in the G7 already.
Hmm.
Japan is the poorest of the countries in the G7. in terms of I think of GDP, but I think also in terms of average income per citizen. I'm stressing that highlight. I mean, I'm supposed to be scared of that. That's China's death lineup right there. That's the death lineup. This is supposed to be their heavyweight fight card. This is supposed to be it. This. So I'm gonna highlight it all. 100% inflation. That's one country. One of them has no food because we give it to them and then they steal it and then sell it on the side and they're poor as fuck. That's Ethiopia. The other one can only blow up shit. That's Iran. And nobody likes being in Iran. One of them only has oil. They're just a petro state. That's Saudi Arabia. They have petro state. They only have oil and guns. And by the way, we gave them those guns because we sold them to them. I'm right.
I heard
And
about that. Yeah.
the UAE has Dubai and oil. That's it. But I mean, no one cares that Andrew Tate likes you. That's your business. And then South Africa can't keep the lights on, so they don't. Nazi Germany did a better job at that than you, by the way, South Africa. So a country everyone hates did that better than you. And then Brazil, the Brazilian economy is on a decline because obviously
Brazil.
it's being led by a socialist right now. So
yeah, it is.
That's going to have a bad effect on it, and it's buying everything Chinese that it can because it's trying to suck up. And Lula da Silva, because he doesn't like the West anymore, even though back in the day, I mean, he was president back in the day for a long time. I remember him as a kid listening about him. He used to suck off both the West and China. Now he's only doing it to China because now he thinks he's like a philosopher. So
interesting. Wow.
Real GDP is expected to grow 1.7% in 2023. It isn't reaching 3%. It's at 1.7.
It's Brazil you're talking about.
That's Brazil.
Okay.
The inflation in Brazil.
Amazing. I'll probably say 80%.
No, not that much. No, Brazil's not that bad. Argentina is the only one that has that horrible of inflation.
All right.
The inflation
30%.
is the inflation is at 4%. Its interest rates are at 13.75%, which is 13.75. Again, not helping. Not helping. So.
Mexico. Weren't they supposed to join too?
Are we really gonna say Mexico? Come on now.
Oh, I was just curious. They launched your shit talk the country, that's all.
I mean, come on. So they're now
it's
so this is and then India and then Russia, which is a legitimate power, but Russia is only in this because why? It does not like the West. And so obviously it and China are aligned to do anything they can to take the spotlight away. But guess what? If Russia was allowed into the G7, guess who would be flying his plane to the G7? Vladimir Putin. So let's not put Russia as in it's only BRICS. It was in BRICS before, and it used to go to the G7 when it was in BRICS because it did that when Trump was in office. BRICS existed when Trump was in office. It isn't old. I mean, it isn't new. And guess what? Russia still went to the G7, to the G20 and all that bullshit. And to Davos and to all that, blah, blah, blah. India, right now, India, first of all, does not have the best relationship with China. Why? China just released this map of China, and every single territory dispute China has, whether it be with Korea, Mongolia, Bhutan, Pakistan, India, all the other stans, every other country, Vietnam, it claims it to be Chinese territory. effectively pissing off every single country in the region, including the ones in BRICS like India. So if India and China have a border dispute,
they gotta
which
set the
they
balls
do,
there.
so India and China have a border dispute, correct?
Yeah, right.
China released the map pretty much saying that's actually Chinese territory and we're supposed to be friends. India's economy is emerging. Okay? I don't have the data here, but I just know from the news. A lot of manufacturers are leaving China, as you know, and they're now looking for other alternatives. Either it's the United States, some other Asian country, or India. They're mostly going to India. I want them to come back here, but for the most part, they're going into India. Why are they going to India? Because India, unlike any other country in Asia, outside of Japan and South Korea, is an actual democracy. You can complain about Modi all you want. It is an actual democracy. Just because your political party in
Right.
India sucks ass does not mean Modi is a dictator. He's just good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. Don't complain about. I don't like the fact that Modi wins his elections. Maybe your political party just sucks. Maybe it's not
Yeah,
a party. Maybe it's just a book club. It's a political book club at this point. It doesn't do anything. Nobody gives a shit if Sonia Gandhi is going to say something on TV anymore. They don't care. They've moved on from her. She, and her son do not matter. They don't care. That's just no offense to her, but they're not voting for you. You've had several chances and your party keeps losing. They like the BNJ, Modi's party.
yeah, they do. Yep.
They do. They like it a lot. They keep voting for it. Even
Yeah.
after the agriculture reforms, when people were mad that he was finally getting rid of the government subsidies, which he actually rescinded and brought back, even though that's not really the best idea because people there, most of India is still farming and it's not completely industrialized. Relax. He's still in power. And that was like 3 years ago by now. So yeah, him. So
I
one,
remember that.
India is a democracy. It is not completely aligned with China because one, it has military disputes and it's had a military conflict in the past, almost not war, but it's had like its issues where the soldiers are like not friendly to each other on the borders. And it's also still aligned with the United States in most in it still wants a close relationship with the United States. So India's playing the field. And so China is what is China doing in BRICS? Every time it goes, it's putting up a bunch of money because it wants to convince countries to join. But all the countries that are joining are either, what did I just say? They're all poor as fuck. That's the summary.
Mm-hmm.
None of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and apparently I just read that Venezuela wants to join BRICS. I mean, should I bother? Should I even bother?
Oh, really? Oh.
Should I even bother?
Probably won't bother if Cuba decides to join too.
I mean, they're probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in it already. They probably are in it already. That's how much they don't matter. Who gives a shit if they are? So there's the thing. So it's like, first off, why isn't any major Asian countries joining? Why aren't the Philippines joining BRICS? Why isn't Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Singapore, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos? Why are they not joining BRICS? They are, by the way, many of them socialist nations that engage in open market, but it's all state controlled, obviously. So they're like mini Chinas.
Mm-hmm.
They are. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they want to be controlled by China. I don't think they're going to play the game that China expects. I think what China wants to do is what the Soviet Union did, is have a bunch of satellite states that follow the Soviets lockstep and barrel. The Chinese are not having that. The Chinese do not have that with these other countries. These other countries are operating independent. They're doing what they do. They're not joining BRICS. You would expect China, if it wants to actually engage in global geopolitics, instead of treating BRICS like a Sun Belt initiative where it can just give out 100 billion yuan for infrastructure like it does throughout Africa, like the Congo, where it's enslaving Africans, that is very
Right.
good, theoretically, rhetorically enslaving them. It's doing that here in
Mhm.
BRICS. It's giving a pool of $10 billion where these poor as fuck countries, again, Iran, Ethiopia, South Africa, uh, probably the Congo, Brazil, Argentina, Iran, Venezuela is probably going to join as well. Mexico are going to come in and take that money and then do what? Because the goal was supposed to, this is what the goal of BRICS was. It wasn't about the currency at first. At first, it was to establish a group like not like a UN, but more like a G7 of countries that were not aligned with the West. It wanted to do that. But that's not happening because all of these countries are effectively going on their own agendas. South Africa is still taking money from the United States, but it's now taking money from China. There's no clear leadership. Who's the leader? Is India
No.
going to stand there? Is India going to stand there and let China be the leader? No, it's not going to. Because India is going to realize it's going to come to a point and say, wait a second, if give it another 2 years or three, is going to say, the world is decoupling from China. The unemployment rate in China will increase. Young people will become disillusioned with China if they can't find jobs. For some reason, there are companies like mortgage companies and banks that are defaulting on their debt in China. One of them just defaulted on like $90 billion or 90 million, one of them, something like that. So there's economic trouble in China. Xi Jinping is paranoid for power. He left BRICS after one day. He didn't stay for the economic discussion, and he went right back to China. For some reason, he can't leave Peking. There was that rumor a couple months ago that he isn't leaving China. That's sort of true. He left China for like one day, and that was it. He went to Russia for like one day, and that was it. And then he ran back to Peking. For some reason, he's afraid that he might get assassinated, or that if he's gone too long, people in China are going to take his job, meaning people in the Chinese in the CCP. So he has to be their country. So that's concerning for him.
Right.
That's a concern. So India's going to sit there, and Modi's going to say, "Okay, I have a lead in my party's democratically elected parliament of over, let's just say, I have a lead of 150 people. I'm going to look at how much it is, but let's say he says I have a lead of over 150 people here. That's my super. I have a super majority in the Raj um, Sablak, which is the Indian parliament.
Mm-hmm.
Or what is it called? The Raja Sabna or Lak Sabna, which is the
Something like
lower
that.
house, where he is, and he's the leader. And
I know. I was talking about. I know. I was talking about all the um stuff about that with my grandmother a couple months ago. It was pretty interesting, actually.
so the BJP party, the Modi's party, which is a Hindu nationalist party, has 300 members. 300 members in out of 543. The main opposition party, the Indian
Mm.
National Congress, which was for the long time the party of Gandhi, and still is run by the Gandhi family, Sonia Gandhi, and all that stuff, has 50 members. 50. It's in an alliance called the India Alliance. Goddamn, for why they came up with that name.
Right.
It has 142 members. So the BJP party, the BJP Modi's party has 301 members. It took up all of the other all the opposition parties, the left leaning parties and the parties that don't like no, Hindu nationalism, are all at 142. They're at 142.
Right.
So that he's fine. He has a supermajority. He doesn't need a communist country like the CCP that has over 1,000 people or 4,000 people or 400, however the many fuck there are, to say I rule everything and I have to rule every single one of them by force. They're scared. That's why they're not doing anything. Ideologically in agreement, but they're scared to challenge me for power, even though every single one of them is a power hungry sycophant. In India, that's not the case. It's still a democracy. So he's saying Modi's saying, I have
Right.
power, my economy is on the rise. I actually have a functioning military I actually have a space program that's working because he landed on the moon. On the south side of it,
Yep. The rest of them.
and even though they are not geopolitically active like the Chinese or the Russians or the United States, he is saying, why in the fuck would I be here in BRICS and let you lead it? Why? What's the point? Because it's obvious. Who leads the
Yeah.
G7? Who leads the G7?
The U.S.
Yeah. Who if the European Union ever wanted to do something, who does it really have to go check that with first? Who?
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah,
The U.S.
exactly. So if I'm in BRICS, which is supposed to be the anti G7, and China's the one who came up with this idea, in Russia, and Russia's pretty much delegating it all to China because Russia's not an economic superpower and it's busy with Ukraine. Why the fuck would it? Why would India, who's now saying, okay, I'm on your level, I'm ascending. In fact, not only am I on your level, I can be better than you because I'm not a communist country. I'm a free market democracy in the middle of Asia. I have a lot of people. I have a military that I'm building up, not for war, but for defense, because you're building up your military, and I need to be active. And I'm next to a nuclear Pakistan and a nuclear Iran.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Modi's going to sit there and be like, "Why am I listening to Winnie the Pooh? Why?
Right.
What's the point?" I mean, I am
Well,
not here.
when you think about this, I guess you can call this like an organization, like different
Yeah,
countries. Um, and the data that you're giving out, you, I don't expect this to be like a long-term thing.
no,
Yeah, I
no.
really don't. I mean,
And
like
this is why I
when you
mentioned
look at they, a lot of them don't have a lot of good relationship with each other. They really don't, especially India and China.
bingo. This is not a long-lasting relationship. It's not because it's
But
not built
I
on
do
a
want to
common
ask
goal.
though. I do want to ask though, because I don't think this is gonna last that long. I think what everyone is asking and wondering what would happen to the American dollar and the United States in the future.
So this is the catch.
What
They
would
have
happen with
not they have not talked about trading with the American dollar for a while now. They didn't mention it on they did not mention it on Monday when they had this meeting in South Africa. Xi Jinping left and did not attend the economic meeting that they were going to have about talking about trade. They didn't do it. They didn't. They haven't discussed it. It hasn't happened yet. That's my
okay.
point. This is a sign that not only is this a weak organization, BRICS, that it's about to brick.
It really is. Like the stuff that you're telling me about, like the other countries,
Yeah,
it does look pretty weak. Like when you hear Russia, China, India alone, it's already like powerful.
you
But then when
hear,
you
you
hear the other
think,
countries,
right?
it's like,
You would
all
think.
right, what the fuck is this? Like,
You would think exactly.
exactly, yes. And then
You're
when
saying to
yeah,
yourself,
so now when you tell me all these things, now it's like, okay, I kind of don't want to like I don't really worry
wait a
about this
second.
now. But it's like, what's the future of America? Like what's gonna happen to us? That's the
So
thing.
this is the point. This is why I bring this up. Because I'm expecting and I'm hoping and I'm praying that Trump wins in 2024. What has Trump already
Yes,
said about BRICS?
right.
What has Trump already said about BRICS? If you don't, do you remember what he said about BRICS?
Um, no, I didn't catch up with him talking
Not
about
only
bricks.
that, but it's not pretty much that he said that he's not going to allow, for one, that any trade happens without the U.S. dollar. That the U.S. dollar is going to remain the world's reserve currency, and two, that he's going to ensure that the U.S. dollar is powerful and pretty much irresistible.
Yeah,
So that's what he's going to do. Now, how he does that, I'm curious, but it can be done. It can be done. Now,
it, it's gonna be a tough challenge for him.
No, it's not gonna be that tough. He just has to turn around with Biden, then and we'll be good. There's a
Yeah, I
process,
guess.
and he understands things way better. He what his advantage is over a lot of the other ones is, or anybody else that's running, is that he understands international trade because he is an international businessman. He is the only Republican candidate that has mentioned China's devaluation of currency, which is, by the way, a reason why all these other countries will not buy into that. Because this is the thing: who are they going to trade with?
No, they won't. No.
Currency. This is the catch. What currency are they going to use?
Yeah,
Which one? It's like,
most likely yen.
but yuan, the Chinese yuan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why? If China is constantly devaluing its currency to accommodate business interests, because that's why they devalue it, to accommodate industrial the industrial policy. It's all tied in with the industrial policy of bringing in international companies to manufacture and produce in China. That's why they devalue constantly and manipulate the value. They increase it and decrease it like a fucking maniac. Why? Why
Right.
would I? Why would India? Why would Russia? Why would the UAE? Why would Saudi Arabia trade in the yuan if you constantly devalue your currency and you have no intentions of stopping it? Why?
You, you, you kind of wonder what goes through Xi Jinping's mind. It's like how, like, what made you really think that this is gonna work?
Well, it's not even. It's because it's not just his plan. It's him, the Russians, the South Africans, because they hate white people, and so they're going to act like they're anti-imperialist, even though, by the buddy, the
Oh, yeah, I
25th,
forgot about that.
the
Yeah.
19th century, and the 20th century are over. Nobody is imperializing you. And by the way, if you were an actual anti-imperialist, you wouldn't be taking $1.8 billion and $1.1 billion in foreign aid from a white American country. You wouldn't be. Stop the hypocrisy. Like,
Yeah,
come
that's the
on.
funny
What
part.
are, what are we talking about? Ethiopia, the same thing. I mean, Uganda, which is allied with the United States, pretty much said it. Like they didn't go to the climate meeting led by John Kerry. The United States held
Right.
a climate change meeting, and pretty much the Ugandan president, who I love, he was just like, why would I go to a country? Why would I listen to that guy who emits more than what I do with his climate
Yeah.
change and stuff? Why the fuck would I do that? Like,
Thank you.
that's a great thing. Instead of saying, I'm not going to that because the Americans are imperialists and they're white nationalists. It's like, yeah, that's stupid. That's what South Africa says. The Ugandans are like, why would I listen to that? That's hypocritical. I'm not going to that. I'm not going to listen.
Yeah. It is.
Why would
It
I
is.
want to go listen to John Kerry? And I'm like, yeah, why would you want to listen to John Kerry? So
Right.
that's the problem. Africa likes to talk all about like the one they have to, be together because the world wants to colonize them again, which by the way isn't happening, except the fact that the Chinese are colonizing them, but they don't want to admit that because all of those leaders that take China's money are bought off. They get paid hundreds, tens of millions or billions of yuan to steal the natural resources of that country. That's what these African countries do. That's what the Sun Belt initiative is. The
Hmm.
Beltway to Africa initiative. That's what that is. It's effectively buying up and enslaving and colonizing Africa without officially doing it. So they pay these governments millions of yuan, totals of billions of yuan, to pretty much have the right to take all these natural resources. And China is acting as if BRICS is the same thing, except they're not realizing that this is an organization that you're trying to have here. They're trying to establish a rival trading and geopolitical diplomatic organization, which is the G7. The G7 a is a global diplomatic and economic institution, pretty much, where you're going to dictate and create policy. That's what happened. That's what's happening. So
Right.
that's and so BRICS is trying to be the opposite of, except they're treating it like this is like a joke or like the Breakfast Club.
Hmm.
It's not the Breakfast Club.
Right. Right.
Um,
Uh,
I am now less concerned, and I have now hope for the future. Because this is the thing. They can fix this. They can fix this. If India decides, yeah, China's going to lead and I'm going to trade yuan, and the Chinese say we're not going to, manipulate our currency, then I'm going to be concerned. But that's not going to happen. And by the way, I'm supposed to be afraid that they're going to trade what? Inflation? Is Argentina going to export inflation and pay that in yuan? Is that what I'm supposed to be afraid of? What is South Africa going to like? That's the thing. So it's like this is why I have hope. It's because this is a failing institution that can be subverted when Trump comes into office. Because he's the only one recognizing this as a potential problem. And it's not even a potential problem. He is saying, yeah, I'm the see, this is the thing about America first. It's not just not getting involved in the world. It's saying the United States is number one because we're the best country on the planet. Don't fuck with us. But we're not going to deal with your bullshit. I don't want to see wars between Russia and Ukraine. We're going to settle them because wars are pointless. We're going to settle them.
It is.
China, you can be a fair economic trading partner, but please don't act as if you're going to take over the entire Asian continent by pitting people against each other and trying to pay off people. That's what he's saying. I want to be friendly with you. We can do business, but it has to be fair. Not we give you money, we give you our jobs, and then you screw us by charging us tariffs. That's literally what happened. But people like Ron DeSantis have no idea what MAGA means or what America First means, and so they're trying to take it in and saying, America First is no foreign wars. No, that's not everything. That's a part of it. That's a part of it. It's called no regime change, no foreign wars. I mean, Trump's not afraid to get into a shooting match if they start it. What did Trump say to the North Koreans? If you do this, you are going to see shit you've never seen before. What did he say?
I have a bigger bomb than you.
Fuck around.
I have a bigger nuke than you.
Yeah, and what did he say? What did he say on that radio interview? He said, "You fuck around and you're gonna find out."
Yeah.
That's what he said. All right, if they keep fucking around with us, they're gonna find out real soon. That's it. That's the policy. It's not. We're not gonna get involved because we hate the fact that we hate the last 30 years. It's like, no, Trump isn't saying I hate the last 30 years. He's saying the last 30 years shouldn't have happened because they were stupid. That's what he's saying. And he's saying we can still be a great nation. That's why his message is appealing, because it's not just hate the past, hate the past, hate the past. It's there were mistakes made. They shouldn't have happened. Stupid people like Joe Biden were running the country, and that's why they happened. Don't elect stupid people. Elect smart people like me, like Trump. That's what he's saying. That's what Trump's message is. And that won't happen. We're going to be smart. We're going to be happy. We're going to have fun, and we're going to be amazing. And America's going to be great again. We're going to have a great economy. People can pay their bills finally and save and go on summer vacations. That's what Trump is saying. Not Ron DeSantis, which is saying, not grumpy Ron saying everything's gay. I mean, who's buying into that? Who's buying that? Come on,
this is making us gay.
Bathrooms are gay, and Joe Biden is old. And why doesn't Europe give more money? I mean, why aren't you focused on ending war? RFK and Trump are the only two candidates in the country saying, I'm going to end that war. Because Vivek isn't saying it. Vivek is saying, I'm not going to get involved. He's going isolationist. He's saying, I don't give a shit anymore. That's what he's trying to say, because we have problems at home. And yeah, I agree. We do have problems at home. But it's our responsibility to end that war. We sort of started it, so we have to
end it. We kind of did.
Yeah, so we have to end it. And we've made it worse. So we have to end it. Trump is saying,
but what's the first step of ending that war? End fundings, or just like
no? The first
have a talk with them.
Yes,
have a talk with them.
Exactly. The first step is exactly
have a talk with them, and then go through other process and then stop the funding.
What is Trump saying? I'm going to get them both in a room and stop and have a ceasefire. So I'm going to have a ceasefire, which means no more fighting. Everyone's going to pause, and we're going to go into a room and we're going to talk it out. And in a day, he says he'll have it figured out. Now, I'll give him a week. I'll give him a month. But if he has a ceasefire that lasts a month, I'm good with that. And he's going to tell Zelensky.
If he has a ceasefire, if he gets everything straight up within one day, dude's legit.
Oh,
dude's legit president.
I mean,
Yeah, he can do
if
it
he doesn't
in
get
just
the
a
Nobel
day.
Peace Prize, I'll draw one on a piece of paper and send it to him.
Oh,
It'll be
yeah,
better.
right, right.
It'll be better than whatever the Nobel Peace Prize is. I'll color it yellow like gold. I'll draw one right now and show the people. If you end it in a day, Trump, if you end it in a day, I have this. Here's this medal you can have.
Just make the metal gold, and then around the neck is will be red, white, and blue, like the Olympics. Are you drawing it? Now the real question is, can you draw well?
No, this is what it says. Peace, yay.
Ew, what the fuck is that?
It's a circle. I just
It's
drew a
drawing my
circle.
nutsack.
That's not healthy. It was only one. That's the point of this.
Sorry, that was just my right nutsack.
Yeah, it's just the medal. Yeah, but he can have that if he does it. That's better than the Nobel Peace Prize at this point. So
I mean,
those are the prospects of what can happen. That's our hope. That's our hope.
well, 2024 is what we're waiting for, and
Yeah, and
no, yeah, like I said, the stuff that you're telling me now, with the whole data and what the future is, because you're not gonna expect India to just like let China do everything, whatever what China wants.
yeah, yeah,
India and China have their own conflict, and then you also got your other Asian countries who do not trust China at all. And I mean, what's the other countries gonna do? Like fucking Argentina and South Africa, and I know Egypt's there as well. Um,
yes. And by the way,
yeah, it's like
Egypt,
what are they gonna do?
and then Egypt. I mean, throw sand, and then Egypt, another beauty. That country, honestly, this is what I would do if I'm president. All right, you're gonna join BRICS? Okay. Egypt last year took $1.47 billion in aid. It took more than South Africa.
Jeez,
So Egypt is going to tell me, he's going to tell me that. He's going to say 1.47 billion in aid. I'm going to point that number and say, okay, you're going to join BRICS and we're going to reassess how much you're going to get in aid. I'm going to send this number over to the computer people. Oh, they just got back to me. I'm going to say this to them exactly like this. Oh, they just got back to me, by the way, that fast. The new number of aid for the next year is 0 billion, 0 million, 0,000, $0. Nothing. You're not getting a cent from the United States. You can join BRICS. You can have fun with the bricks, with the stones, with the pebbles, with the whatevers, and you can enjoy the $0 I'll send you. I'll send you a check for $0 so you can notice how serious we were. That's what I would say to them. You want to join them, you're going to get $0. If Jordan, the Kingdom of Jordan, wants to join them, which is another Arabic country with King Abdullah, they're not going to join BRICS, but they're allied with the United States, so they're not going to join them. But if he did, he received a $2.6 billion. I'm going to tell him,
really?
yeah, buddy, those 2.6, they're not going. So then Nigeria, who's also thinking about BRICS probably because they're African and they're going to be like, we're also against white people and colonialism. By the way, colonialism hasn't happened for like the last 100 years, so they can stop with that. But Nigeria took $1.1 billion dollars. I will just tell them, yeah, no, zero. That's zero. So go join BRICS. The Congo, which continuously tries to play both the field, likes to do. They like to be friendly with China.
I forgot about the Congo.
The Congo took a 100 billion yuan from China and then sold off its entire country to China. That's what they did. They took almost $1 billion from the United States. They want to join BRICS. They can also enjoy $0. They can enjoy the BRICS. They can have a billion BRICS. I'll send them a billion BRICS. Instead of sending them $1 billion, I'll send them a billion BRICS. They'll figure out what to do with those. So that's what I would do. That's it. And Trump's going to say that. He's going to say, you know what? I am not going to send you money because why am I going to pay you if you don't like me? You can not like me for free. I don't have to pay you for that. I am not into BDM or BDSM or, dominatrix shit. I'm not going to be paid to be hurt or to be punched in the balls or slapped in the face or to be disliked. You can dislike me for free.
Right.
So I'm not going to give you money. So that's what I would say to them. If Bolivia or Ecuador or Chile, who are also now extremely left-leaning countries, very soon Ecuador, I would do the exact same thing. You have aid. Oh, you're taking what? $300 million in aid in terms of Bolivia. Oh yeah, that's gonna turn into $0 in aid, like that. No, zero, none. Because why? You hate me. I'm gonna pay you for that? No, hell no. Oh, but the people are starving. Go to China. They have their. You just joined BRICS. Isn't that why you joined BRICS?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
and let me see if China does that. So, and then the people
One
there are
suck
going
off
to
their
say,
dicks.
the people in those countries are going to react, holy shit, our political leadership just lost the aid. The Americans, I would go to Bolivia on a trip, or if they let me go, or Argentina on a trip, and I would say, your president just gave me this. I was here to see exactly what was going on because they invited me. But your president just told me they're joining BRICS. So the 1.47 billion Egypt got, let's just I go to Egypt, that's gone. That's no more. There's 0 billion. No, because your country decided that it's going to align with the country that wants to dethrone me as the best. Easy. Do what you do. Do what you do, boys. Go lay them bricks. So
Can't trust no one.
it's not as easy as I mean, China's thinking that. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? It's not easy being on the top. The Russians know this. The Russians know this. I told you, when the Chinese and the Indians want to rule the world, they're going to realize that stuff like Vietnam and Afghanistan and Ukraine happen. And they don't work out well. And it's going to happen. The Chinese, at some
Yeah.
point, are going to try to invade something, and it's not going to work out. And everybody in the Peking, China, is going to freak the fuck out. And then they're going to be like, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't think it was going to happen to us. And then it happened to them. And now they're like, oh my God, wow, it's not working out anymore. India's going to have the same.
Right.
India might, if it goes the same route as China or the Soviet Union or the Americans, is going to say, yeah, we're going to have to invade someplace and do regime change so that their government is friendly to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to work out. And then they're going to be stuck in the same quandary as us. They're going to be like, oh shit, this is just like when the Americans went to Iraq and we criticized them, but then we did it. And the Russians, and then it's just like when Russia was in Afghanistan, and then they also lost a big deal of shit in the 1980s.
Right.
Oh my God. And this is like that time China did that. And then they're going to go back to the China. And then they're going to be like, oh my God, this was not exactly what we were looking for, but it is not working out for us. Why did we do this?
Oh
That's
my God, I can't believe this is happening to us. I thought it
I
was
did not
going to
think
be
it was
good.
going to be this difficult to do the regime changing. This is must be why the United States never did this. Because after the Modi generation leaves, there's going to be a new generation that thinks things are easy.
Yeah.
And then is going to think that, oh, yeah, we're really strong and India's the best. And we're going to go invade someplace to prove it. And so then they're going to go invade some no-name place and they're going to get they're going to get their ass kicked because it's not going to be easy. That's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to try to invade Sri Lanka or something and then fail. Who knows? Who knows? So that's what's going to happen.
Well, like I said, let's see what happens 2024, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Vote Trump. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You guys don't want a fucking war and a question about why everything's so expensive. Fucking cunts.
exactly. Why is everything there?
You did this to yourself.
Yeah. So
You guys did this to yourself.
we're at the end of the episode. This is pretty much it. We don't have enough time for anything else. So again, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. You can follow our personal accounts on IG, but I really recommend follow us on Twitter. That's where you'll find our updates most. Patreon.com,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find more content exclusively. That's patreon.com/4, the number 4, the Republic. Um, any messages, Karen Deep? Your gaming channel is not up right now, right? But it'll soon be up.
No, yeah, my for
His
those that
systems
don't
are
know,
down. Yeah.
but my
His,
my computer's fucked.
yeah.
So
His systems are down right now, but
I'm
he'll
in
be
the
up
month.
soon. And that's what Crimson Gaming, Crimson's slash Crimson hyphen
Yeah, Crimson Dash Gaming.
Crimson Dash Gaming. That's on YouTube. We'll put a link down below for that too. Subscribe there. Keep up and stuff if you're into gaming and funny comedy stuff. We'll
Yeah,
see
I'll
you
be back
guys.
soon. Hopefully next month I'll be back.
Yeah, he's just taking a small hiatus. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
we're here. We're not queer. We don't believe in pronouns. We're not woke. And we are what?
We're racist.
There we go. So, ready for the Republic. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.